Greetings, I'm Professor Hobo, and welcome to another HOBOTECH Knows You Got It product review. Back in March 2022, we took a look at the Oupes 1200 watt lithium iron phosphate power station, and it offered a clean inverter and solid features at a discount price. Now fast forward 9 months later, and Oupes has given birth to a bigger 2400 watt model at an even better price. But is it any good, or is it just another Oupes? Let's find out. As for features, the Oupes 2400 sports a 2232 watt-hour lithium iron phosphate battery rated at 3500 cycles to 80% capacity. As for size and weight, it's approximately 17 by 11 by 12 inches and comes in at 46 pounds. As for the design, it is all ABS plastic all the way around. It does have a pair of very solid grab handles built in with rubberized feet, and it does sport a color LCD screen. As for the inverter, this is a 2400 watt pure sine inverter with a 4000 watt surge from 5, count them, 20 amp outlets. As for ways to charge, there are 3 primary ways. First is from dual AC adapters for 400 watts of charging in about 6 hours. That means you get 2 of these bricks along with the product. They each do 200 watts. They both plug into the wall, and they both use 8mm connectors. So there is a pair of 8mm connectors right here on the side. You can plug them both in at the same time. You don't have to, you can charge with just one. So that means it takes at least 6 hours to charge this from dead using AC wall power. Now as for solar, it does support up to 960 watts of solar through dual MPPT inputs. Again, they're in the same place, but they offer this time a pair of Anderson power pole, which is fantastic. Everyone knows how much I like Anderson power pole and XT60 connectors over the wonky 8mm. So Oupes is very cool in offering both sets of hookups. So you have your pair for your AC wall chargers and your pair for your solar. And yes, you can use them at the same time. Now, if you're able to max out the 960 watts of solar on this, you can charge this in under 3 hours. And of course, finally, you can charge from 12-volt car adapter, and that's going to take you about 20 hours unless you use 2 car adapters, and it'll cut that time in half, because yes, you can dual charge from your car as well. Now, as for 12-volt outputs, this does, of course, offer a single cigarette lighter socket style output and a pair of 5521 barrel plug outputs, all regulated at 12.7 volts and limited to 10 amps. As for USB outputs, it's very well rounded. It offers a pair of 60 watt power delivery outputs. Now, these are output only. You cannot charge the Oupes using USB. Then it offers 3 USB-A quick charge ports, good for 18 watts of charging each, and then finally offers a basic USB port for charging up your dinosaurs. The warranty on the Oupes 2400 is 2 years from the manufacturer. And of course, we took the Oupes 2400 into my secret laboratory here. We performed all kinds of crazy experiments on it, including, yes, of course, let's all do it together now, a double-fisted bang, bang battery capacity test. As for the results of the DC battery capacity test, it scored 1,761 watt-hours out of 2232, or 79%. As for the results of the AC battery capacity test, it scored better at 1,830 watt-hours out of 2232, or 82%. Now, none of these numbers are anything to write home about, but they are around industry standard, so they're not really bad, but they're not really great. They're just kind of average. Pure sine wave check under load. I have the Oupes running under load. Perfect sine wave, 108 volts, 60 hertz. Inverter capacity test. This is where we determine how much power can the inverter output at its maximum. Right now I have it running at 2400 watts, which is what it's rated for, but let's see how much further we can push it. Okay, we're watching this number right here. It says 2417. Let's go ahead and crank it up. 2500. And it shut off right when I went to 2600. Still working at 2500. Let's try 26. Nope. 2500 seems to be the limit, but it does auto start, which is kind of nice. It does auto reset. There you have it. It can run 2,500 watts. Now let's see if it'll do it consistently. So let's go ahead and do what I call the heat soak test. This test is to determine if you run it at maximum load for 5 minutes, does it do anything weird? Does it start smelling funny or smoking or drinking or misbehaving? So let's try it out at 2,500 watts and see if it can sustain it for 5 minutes. There we are, 2,500 watts. Let's see if it can handle the full 5 minutes. Nope, it reset in about 30 seconds. So let's go ahead and turn it down to 2,400 watts. Okay, let's do it again at 2,400 watts, which is the rated capacity of this inverter. Here we are, we're past 5 minutes. The Oupes 2400 has had no problems at all at 2,400 watts. So while it's still running at maximum, let's go ahead and measure the sound pressure. Here we are about a meter away. So 53, 54 decibels, that's pretty good. I can tell you that the sound coming out of the Oupes is very pleasant. It just sounds like a whoosh. It doesn't sound like an annoying fan noise of any kind. And this is at maximum, so you can expect if you're running less of a load than 2,400 watts, the fans are going to be quieter. Max charge rate test. This is where we determine how fast can it charge from AC wall power, DC, and solar. So right now we have it hooked up to its 2 external charging bricks. I have them both plugged in. Look at the results. Getting a maximum of 375 watts of charging. So the Oupes 2400 is not going to break any AC wall charging records. Let's see if it does better with solar. And for those of you interested in what the overhead is for the 2 AC wall charging bricks, it is actually pulling 424 watts from the wall while it is putting in 374 watts. So you lose about 50 watts to the double charging bricks. Now this next test is going to determine how much power can you put into the dual Anderson power pole inputs. This does have 2 Anderson power pole inputs. Each has its own separate solar controller. And it says in the manual it can handle from 12 to 45 volts. So let's go ahead and see what happens when you put in 12 volts. You can see on my variable voltage charger, I am inputting 13.8 volts, and it is charging at 98 watts. Now, because this has 2 inputs, I do have this second charger hooked up, also at 13.8 volts, and we'll see how much faster does it charge. It looks like it doubles it up to about 200 watts. Now I've increased the voltage to 21 volts, which is the upper range of a single solar panel, and we're charging at 163 watts. Let's go ahead and see what happens when I do it on the other side too. And it's maxing out around 392 watts. And what this means is you can put a 200 to 300 watt solar panel on each one of these Anderson inputs and then expect to top out around 400 watts. So let's take it all the way up to its maximum and see how fast this thing can really charge. And that is 45 volts. Now I have 45 volts going into both inputs. Let's see how much power it's taken. It looks like we're topping out right around 1,000 watts. So that's 500 watts per Anderson input for a total of 1,000 watts. Now at 1,000 watts, you can charge this thing in just over 2 hours. So that's not too shabby, but that's assuming you have the right amount of solar panels set up the right way. And what about charging noise? 47 decibels. It's actually quite quiet while charging at 1,000 watts from solar. Now what about simultaneous charging from multiple sources? We've already proved that's possible because it can charge from 2 different ports at the same time. So it doesn't matter if you're plugging in the AC wall brick or solar into those ports or even 12 volt car, it doesn't matter. You can plug whatever you want in either one of those ports and they will charge both at the same time. So the biggest question I still get to date, does it have pass-through charging? In other words, can you charge it while you use it? Well, it's 2022, almost 2023, and if a product doesn't have pass-through charging, it should probably go in the trash. Of course, the Oupes 2400 supports pass-through charging, AC, DC, and USB. So I'm charging it from both solar ports at the same time, and I'm getting DC out. You can see here I'm getting AC out and the USB out. All at the same time is working. So yes, you can charge it while you use it. Now the 12 volt output on this is rated at 10 amps. Let's see what we can get. See right there, 10 amps, no problem. And the output is regulated at 12.7 volts. The Oupes 2400 does have a pair of 60 watt power delivery outputs, and I do have them hooked up to a pair of power banks. As you can see, both of these are taking 60 watts for a total of 120 watts. And this means this passes the USB power delivery output test. Musician's favorite, amp interference test. Does the Oupes 2400 watt inverter put out clean enough power to power a power amp without making a bunch of buzzy noise in the background? Now remember, this is a budget product. Place your bets, take a guess. Is it going to be noisy or not noisy? All I have to do is turn on the inverter. 3, 2, 1. It actually has no buzzing noise, just the typical background hiss that you'd get from an amplifier plugged into a wall. That means that the Oupes 2400 is good enough to rock out in your band and may even be clean enough for ham radio use. Now the Oupes does pack one final trick up its sleeve, and you wouldn't notice it unless you turned it around and looked at the back. Yes, it has a lantern style light. Now I like these lantern style lights a lot better than flashlights because they kind of light up a whole area. Let's be honest, you're not going to pick up something 40 pounds and carry it around like a flashlight looking for something. This is actually much better for camping or lighting up a room during a power outage. So I always favor these lantern style lights. Now, does it have the infamous SOS feature? Well, let's find out. Button press number 1, looks like low. Button press 2, high. Is it time to cue up the music? Oh yeah! It's time to flag down our little buddies upstairs. All right, party on, fellas. So what do I think about the Oupes 2400? Well, the Oupes packs probably the most power per cubic inch of anything else out there in the lithium iron phosphate market. They managed to shoehorn a 2200 watt hour battery and a 2400 watt inverter into the same space that rivals can only fit 2000 watts. How? Was it some kind of Doctor Who tech? The answer is actually more science than fiction. By not having a built-in battery charger, they were able to cram a lot more into a smaller space, and that takes me to my biggest gripe about this product. It comes with a pair, count them, 200 watt AC wall charging bricks. Why? Why is this? Why are you giving us 2 small chargers instead of a single 500 watt charger? It seems to be a very odd engineering decision. Now, I understand not putting the charger inside because they're going for the biggest bang for the buck, like the most power in the smallest box possible, and to do that, you don't necessarily want to include the chargers. Nowadays, though, there's a lot of inverter chargers on the market, which allows you to just plug these things into the wall, and the inverter will charge the batteries while also discharging it when it's not plugged in. So, this is a kind of cheap out decision on Oupes. Fortunately, everything else about the Oupes is pretty standard. At this price point, you don't get a wireless charging pad on the top, you don't get an app, but you're not paying top dollar for a Bluetti either. These B-list brands are totally about bang for the buck, and the Oupes 2400 ends the year as a solid contender for your dollar as we wave goodbye to 2022. Now for the best part, product price. The Oupes 2400 retails for $16.99, which in of itself is a good price. But of course, I have a discount code for viewers of the channel that will bring that price down to around 65 cents per watt hour, or only 60 cents per watt. That puts this product right in the bargain bin along with brands you never even heard of before. Now what about the competition? When it comes to similar features and price, the closest match is probably the new Pecron 2000 LFP. Although that product has a smaller battery and a smaller inverter than this product, it's about the same price per watt. The Pecron does offer battery expandability and more solar input, while the Oupes offers more battery and inverter for a smaller size and weight along with more quick charge ports. The better choice is going to come down to your personal preference. Now what about recommended solar? Oupes sells their own 240 watt folding solar panels in different size bundles for this product, and you can certainly go with that if you're looking for a portable solution. If you're looking for something more permanent, I'd recommend the Bouge RV 180 watt or 200 watt panels, which can be found on my website, hobotech.tv/Amazon. Click on Solar Kits. Those panels are going to be a lot cheaper per watt than any portable you're going to find. If you're interested in the Oupes 2400, the link and discount code are going to be in the description of this video below. I'm also going to put a link here at the bottom of the screen that you can type in manually, along with a QR code that you can scan on a mobile device. It'll take you on over to the Oupes site where you can check out their 2400 watt power station. Thanks for watching. If you learned something today, don't forget to give me that thumbs up below. And if you're not a subscriber already, you know what to do. That's it for now. Till next time.
Odin commands you to like and subscribe, and clean my litter box.
If your search for a Odin is a pain in the neck, go to YouTube. and watch HOBOTECH, 'cause he's a testing this and he's a probing that. He's even been probing Odin's cat. If you want to get all the Odin back, go to HOBOTECH. Yeah!
RV Golf Guy, Von Rupp, Brian Luters, John Jason Soroka, Dr. Steve Eisenberg.